and you'll be fine.
And it certainly did that. MOU's won by virtue of just making less mistakes.
Yes.
And making very few mistakes in that game. I don't think I really had any major ones for me, at least, in that game. So, Evelyn will be the first ban coming out from Gamers 2. We saw that last game from them. No change there. Shen will be the next ban from MOU's.
I want to see a change up for Kikis. I don't want to see the Elise here. I'm going to be honest. I feel like the impact he had with the playstyle he was going for, if he'd have had like a Lee Sin or a Rengar, which those are the two champions we've seen him play in Challenger, I feel like he would have had more presence in the game. Elise is still very strong, but he couldn't get into mid lane, and he couldn't get into anywhere else.
Yeah.
And he couldn't farm fast enough to actually get the items rolling.
I still question whether it was the pick or whether it was just him not doing a whole lot in the early game. We'll see. I mean, there's two jungle bans coming in here, Evelyn and Rek'Sai against Dan. Shen and Alistar will be banned away, could be support, could be top lane as well. Ron will be the final ban against Smitty J. I mean, yeah, nothing really out of the ordinary there. And then Twisted Fate up against Sire. So, some change in bans from Gamers 2. They felt that those were a problem for them in Game 1, and they do first pick the Victor as well, just a safe mid laner here.
Yeah, we saw the Victor first pick in yesterday's games, pretty much predominantly in all three games, actually, I think, maybe.
Yeah,
I'll have to go back and double-check game 3. Over on the other side, though, MOU's are likely to take away the Elise if they want it. As we said, it's not really MOU's style when it comes to having the teamfight presence coming from the jungle. I don't know whether we'd see something like a Gragas come from Dan if Nidalee and Elise are both available. Depends how willing he is to flex his style to what the team needs from this pick and ban phase.
Well, it's going to be that Elise, and this will be this time taken by Dan, so he's going to try and show Kickers how it's done, but we'll see if that works out in this game. Elise, everyone is touting as an extremely strong jungler right now, along with the Corki from MOU's as the first pickup.
Hecarim's still up. Didn't see it banned away. No real top lane presence yet outside of the ban phase, so we'll see whether Gamers 2 maybe want to try and take that away. I think it's a fairly certain pick here if MOU's kind of want it, although if they go mid lane and bottom lane, they can actually counter pick top, so I think MOU's might hang on and sit back and wait to see what they want to do now that Gamers 2 have just taken their bottom lane away.
Well, what's for certain is Sivir and Braum have been picked up from Gamers 2 here. Sivir again will just allow Jesse to speed up the team, get into fights. Last time that was heavily mitigated out from the Janna pick. We haven't had a support pickup yet from MOU's, so that's still a possibility. Braum as well would probably suffer in the bottom lane against the range matchup, so they have that already locked in. MOU's, we'll see what their response is. Again, I just love to see Binsu on more carries top lane, maybe just the Hecarim again. It's still open. It
is still open. I don't think there's too much value if they were to pick up the Hecarim here, just in the sense that you then give away the solo lane over to Gamers 2. You know mid lane's already been locked in, and this is the matchup that we've seen so much in the European LCS.
Yep, Varus and Victor, and we'll see how this one works out. I mean, Victor has historically just kind of had a really low win rate. We'll see if the Varus can just abuse the Victor in the mid lane. But
in both the LCS here in Europe and the Challenger Series, elsewhere it's still very strong. You look at LCK, still doing well, putting up the numbers. Interesting that over here it certainly has started to fall off.
Yeah, just another European thing apparently, I guess. But there's the Janna, actually, in response to the Braum and the Sivir, so have fun with that disengage. Games 2 of the last two picks, what are they going to bring out?
It's the same bottom lane setup for MOU's as last game, and they got ahead. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
You know, MOU's, they'll always have the opportunity to pick a solo lane, counter-pick a solo laner as well. They are on red side for all 3 games, but today it will not be the Hecarim in Game 2 coming from Binsu.
It won't, and Binsu now has to respond. He could go with a Gnar, that would be like the obvious lane pick, but he might just go something else that just is in Binsu's arsenal. So far we've seen, well, of course, the Galio, the Maokai, a tank here. What else does he play in terms of carries? We've seen a Rise. It hasn't been banned in this game, but has, of course, been changed on 5.14. Did get nerfed battered pretty hard, so we'll see what Binsu brings out. What else does he have in his champion pool?
What does he have? We'll see. We'll see exactly what he has. But the Rengar locked in for Kikis. We saw this in Game 2 against Team Dignitas.
Yep.
Got ahead early, stayed ahead, crushed the team against Team Dignitas. And, you know, I'm glad to see this. Okay, it's another champion that he needs the early game impact on, but Kikis has showed us his Rengar impact. Can he do it again? Yeah, maybe he can replicate Kyrie's performance from yesterday. That was incredible in the start of that series. And it's going to be a fizz impact from Binsu. Haven't seen this yet from him in the Challenger Series at least, but of course must have been practicing in solo queue. Up against the Hecarim, it's a fine matchup. Flashless on both sides, so if Dan gets up into top lane like he did last time, Smitty J is in a less secure position than he normally would be. And as you alluded to, for now, Smite on the side of Smitty J.
He's got 3 seconds.
He's sit on it. He's got a little bit longer than that.
It's not 20 seconds.
So it is in LCS, but that's for swapping.
91% over to Gamers 2 the first time around. Feel like that may have changed after the first performance out from Mouse in this game. But we're into the second game of this best of 3 between Mouse Sports and Gamers 2. Mouse currently 1 win up against Gamers 2, 1 win away from getting into the finals of the Challenger Series Summer Split.
And that will be the first time for Mouse, really. Keep in mind, Mouse were the team in spring that went 0-8 and then won 2 games with Teemo against Gamers 2.
Yep.
So if the revenge, or the continued revenge from Mouse, would be to put Gamers 2 in the 3rd place game, that would be some really sour desserts for Gamers 2 to
they should have hovered the picks.
They should have.
Just to
in fact, do you know what? They did hover Teemo.
They did.
I didn't clock it at the time.
And the gangplank and
that's
the other things that went.
That's too far. That's too much BN.
They even hopped the Heimendinger. I've seen a depressing amount of that in Solo recently. I don't know why. Hybrid placing down those wards there. We can see again both teams getting us early vision. Lane swap wards go in from both teams. Actually in range of that turret, so it has been pinged out from Mouse. So they have that information. Games 2 have that information. So pings all over the map. I'm not sure if all of those mean something, but there are definitely pings.
What do they mean? The signs. What do they mean, Pulse?
The numbers. But yeah, someone had an on the way ping to mid lane. I think that was from Perks. That would make a lot of sense.
Is that just like the new meta? You ping your lane. We're basically playing AI versus bots here, or co-op versus AI.
Yep. I'm going here, Vladimir bot.
Kikis is just like, I'm going top lane. All game long this time.
I mean,
put
he
the
might
pressure down.
Smitty J into Beansu. You burn that E from Fizz we saw yesterday. Can potentially pick up that kill into Fizz. Remember, there's no flash out from Smitty, so once he's in, he's in.
I realized they said AI versus bots. That would be the stupidest game mode to watch.
When robots take over human players.
Skynet
bots.
That's actually what this is the platform for. But the platform right now is
take this red.
for double jungle. Not really. Both have Smite on the side of Gamers 2, but it isn't full on double jungle. They're just going to take that experience to begin. Saw this in the last game. Very similar for both top laners. However, the departure is Gamers 2 put their bottom lane up in the top lane. And now Mouse is heading up top with Mountain only. So now they got a Fizz and a Janna top lane. They just used teleport to get Beansu up there. So Beansu's not going to get a lot of farm here. Even with the Janna around, this is going to be a tough ask to try and get farm. That is an odd decision coming out from Mouse, unless they're now expecting to bring Dan up and expect G2 to bring both Kikis and Smitty J, and they're going to look to defend this turret 3 versus 4, which typically works out okay depending on how Gamers 2 can balance their crowd control. We've seen it go very well for teams like Fnatic, where they've been exceptionally clean, but we've also seen it backfire.
Yeah, I mean, 4 versus 2 on the turret is always very risky. Even the very top levels of play, you can see mistakes happen, so it may be safer just to not. Kika's going to be taking this top crab, so he gets the vision over the top area, so it does seem like somewhat of a setup.
However, now that it's pushed under tower, you can see the Beansu has been able to get some CS. It's when it pushes all the way up, so Beansu now has to kind of only go up when the shield is on, and now back away, because he can't afford to take more than about 2 autos from this Sivir before he's really under a lot of pressure.
Well, in the bot lane, Smitty J is actually going to turn up just as the minion wave arrives, so he's not even going to be put around behind by this decision from Mouse Sports. Cedric in here in this solo lane up against Hecarim, I mean, he'll do a bit of poking, he'll do a bit of farming, but that's all he's really going to do in the bottom lane. Dan comes down, just laughing out on top lane. Why not? But Dan, yeah, going into this bottom lane here, maybe just clearing out some wards. Kikis is going to read this and be in the bottom sides of the map. He's going to go for those Krugs. Dan will head around the corner. He's been seen out by this ward, however. And SmittyJ will react to that one, just allows Kikis to get those Krugs without any interruption from Dan, who's level 4 versus level 2 for Kikis right now, as he pings level 3.
Yeah, so Kikis spent a lot of time just going around the rest of the jungle with SmittyJ to start this off. But mid lane, Dan is going to look for the first gank of the game.
And he lands the Cocoon as well. That's going to be the cleanse being burnt from Perks and the Flash. Yeah, 2 summoners with 1 Cocoon. Buy 1, get 1 free on summoners.
That Cocoon is deadly now, though, at rank 1. One of the big problems with Elise was after she got nerfed a while back. It was to do with the Cocoon duration in especially the earlier ranks. Now it's had an extra 0.6 seconds added to rank 1 Cocoon. The old problem was you'd never wanted to put points in Cocoon early, so you could never get the duration long enough to make it an effective crowd control tool early, because it was only the 1 second snare, so unless you could follow up, it wasn't amazing considering the rest of her kit. Now that it's 1.6 seconds this early in the game and you just leave it at 1 rank for quite a while,
it's kind of crazy.
It's fine. This is basically like, I think it took until like rank 3 or rank 4 of the previous Elise to get to what rank 1 Elise Cocoon is right now.
And that's how strong it is.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
Yeah. I mean, 0.6 seconds may not seem a lot, but when you actually get hit by it, it seems like a CC for eternity. Binsu is still taking a lot of damage in the top lane. He's actually falling behind a little bit by CS up there as he's laning with Mountain. Partly because SmittyJ managed to arrive to that mini-wave just as it hit from Cedrian. I'm not sure if that was just a bad setup from Cedrian or it was just the decision making to move the Fizz up to the top lane, but so far, Mals aren't necessarily getting ahead in this, and it was actually pretty smart for Gamers 2 to go for this swap, but I don't think they could have predicted that they were going to teleport Beanstalk to the top lane.
At least not with Mountain there either.
Right.
It looks like they're going to swap things around now. Now they feel like SmittyJ is through the treacherous early game, put him back up into the top lane, try and force MOUs to expend some time with Mountain, not beside Cedrian. You can actually see the pings going down as soon as they saw Janna reappear back in lane. They know they can exploit this now in the bottom lane by sending Kikis into the enemy jungle because the numbers advantage has to be on the favor of Gamers 2. Kikis does get spotted. Nothing really that MOUs can do about this. So deep wards go down. Cedrian has to be careful here because Gamers 2 could be looking to set up a dive behind the turret within the next minute and a half.
Kikis is there in the bottom side of the map. Hybrid will use Stand Behind Me into the Winter's Bite. Tries to connect that onto Cedrian. Doesn't quite land it. Again, we're seeing a fairly slow start in terms of action from these two teams. Now that Mals are getting this 2v2 lane, they're now just evening up the CS in the bottom lane. The only major difference is in the top lane so far. And actually the mid lane as well. Sayo has actually got a hefty CS advantage over Perks.
The other thing that deep ward now does is they're spotting out to see whether Dan's Grump is going to respawn soon, see if he heads down there. If he shows bottom side, it makes it easier for Kikis to get himself mid lane or top lane. They know that they have the extra person out on the map. So watch for that if Dan does indeed go over to the Grump, although I think that ward may expire before that is even a factor here. Yeah, it has just died, so doesn't get that information. Nice attempt by Gamers 2. Couldn't utilize it, but certainly even just the absence of Grump and the absence of Elise is information in its own right.
Yeah, for sure. Dan heading into the bottom side of the map. There's the Grump, there's the blue. Just a couple of seconds out there would have been perfect. But yeah, Cedrian and Mountain is very interesting because they've very much reflected how the team have done over the split. They've been great against the weaker bottom lanes, not so hot against the better laners, but just in hybrids you would expect to be in the upper echelons of the bottom lane duo lanes, and they lost the last lane in terms of CS. This time they're going even, but that's mainly because of the lane swap. So Cedrian and Mountain, this is just a departure from how they've generally done throughout the split, and indeed the team has just been playing better.
Yeah, I concur. And you can see over on the other side of the rift, Gamers 2 giving over that blue buff early on to Perks. Probably going to see the same thing out of Mouse as well for Varus. Got to try and get him stacking that tier up until he's got that Mura mana. Won't be able to stack it off his auto attack, so could use that cooldown reduction. Or is Dan going to just be greedy and take this? Interesting.
I don't know, he slowed down.
Okay, he slowed down.
Okay.
There was a lot of damage coming out pretty quickly, but Kikis is going on Beansuit. Does not land the Chum the Waters, and that's going to be the tower under pressure. Smitty J still wants to fight.
Beansuit jukes back into Smitty J, which means he lands the Onslaught of Shadows as he retreats. The Ignite comes down in response, so Smitty J can't go for the tower dive. Beansuit will now back off underneath his turret, so he's good to go. Top tower falls, and yet again, that's first dragon going over to Mouse.
Yeah, this is exactly the same play as in Game 1 from Mouse, so already highlighting this early game pressure on the dragon that we saw. Coming into Game 1, 80% of first dragons were secured by Mouse in their games. So, really interesting stats to keep a track of. And as we hit over the 10-minute mark, they are not ahead in this game in gold because of that tower falling.
Yeah, it's funny because Gamers 2 are actually pretty much ahead in every single lane in almost every single game in terms of CS. Maybe just about 5 to 10 in each lane.
Right.
But it was an advantage nonetheless. And in this one, it's only Smitty J. So Mouse, just to kind of go back on our point from the first game, is they've just been playing better in their lanes, which is not something we've seen from Mouse before either. It's all been about their team play, which is where they've gotten their advantages previously.
I mean, the bottom lane for Mouse were obviously... Cedrian was obviously just kind of up against just Smitty J, so we haven't seen all that much of the 2 versus 2 bottom lane. It's tough to tell if this had have gone standard, how it would have played out, but this is the same setup for 3 of the champions as our last game. Only the Nautilus has changed, so perhaps you can extrapolate from that what you will. But, you know, Smitty J has got himself through the early game, is now up against this Fizz, and with the tower down, I don't really think Smitty J is going to push up all that much. Dan is here just in case he does. But there are too many wards out already from Gamers 2. You can see ping onto the Tribush in the top side from Dan, and I think he actually has got rid of it. Yeah, he dropped a pink on top of that ward. They know he was spotted.
Kikis, again, it's really good at just spotting out what the wards are going to be. You probably also saw that one being placed down by the ward that was there previously, but still, again, takes out another ward, denies some more vision. The vision game has actually been pretty on point by Gamers 2. So far, you can just see the wards up and down the river, mainly controlled by Gamers 2. You can just see that one lone pink ward in the top. Tribush in the bottom lane, no. Kickers tries to get in with the lead, but it is actually countered out by Mountains Monsoon. He'll be going down though. Sejin uses the Valk to get away. Actually jukes out of the way of Kickers of Smitty J's Onslaught of Shadows. So he jukes that one away. Mountain is left to die, but doesn't burn any summoners. So all in all, they only get 1 kill plus the tower in the bottom lane. And in the top lane, Mouse are responding. They have a minion wave coming in, and they're pushing in the middle lane.
Yeah, but I don't think Mouse are going to get either of these right now because the minion wave did die. Okay, if the teleport was already used by Smitty J, they will get top lane from this, and not the mid lane turret. So, First Blood goes over to Gamers 2 with a well-orchestrated gank down into the bottom lane. And Smitty J coming in as well, utilizing that first real teleport of the game from Gamers 2. But again, Mouse actually... Now we're just trading it fairly evenly. Only the First Blood gold and that first tower is going to separate the two. So it is a lead for Gamers 2 right now. Can they build on that lead and continue their ways in this game? It would be a departure from Game 1's setup.
Yeah, for sure. Most likely going to wait for those Triforce spikes as well, just like Game 1. Hecarim before, this time Fizz. He will be looking for the Trinity Force. He picks up the Phage as well. In the bottom lane, still running Corki, of course, so he's looking also for that Trinity Force. Mid lane now being sieged in by Gamers 2, will be shielded up by Mountain. And that tower literally took no damage.
Look at the vision control, though, that Gamers 2 have on the map right now. There are no wards for Mouse past kind of the... not even quite the entrances of their own jungle. They're in kind of the first bushes inside their jungle. And Gamers 2 are starting to push up past them. Smitty J is on that pink ward, is probably going to take that out now. So there is not a lot of the map that MOUs has any kind of eyesight on. And if Gamers 2 can maintain this kind of vision control, the MOUs team are going to find it very difficult to actually create picks, because they're going to rely heavily on vision to combo this Elise and use the Varus as well to poke and, you know, grant themselves the opportunity for those skirmish and pick setups.
Gamers 2 still have to play this smart though. Smitty J just can't run all the way into this jungle. Remember, it takes less time for the defending team to rotate than it does for the aggressor team.
That is only if you can maintain vision control through your own jungle.
And have their own paths to get to those places, yeah. I mean, if you have to walk all the way around, then yes, it's not going to be a
Yeah, as soon as you've got to go through your own base, it's like, yeah, okay.
This is taking a little.
This is the scenic route.
But yes, yeah, for sure. Sedgian heading out of base with his support of Mountain. It's going to be a 3-man stack in the bottom lane. This game is really stalled out quite significantly. Dragon's on the horizon though. 1 minute to go on that one. The blue buff has been taken away from Gamers 2, so despite the 1 kill, and despite the small gold lead, they're actually acting like a team who are further ahead. They're taking away a lot of resources away from MOUs.
Yeah.
So we'll see what MOUs do about that. If they'll actually try and contest the dragon, or they'll just let it be.
This is a much better opening for Gamers 2 as well, though. When you look at how just the lanes have played out for themselves, how the setups in front of objectives has played out for themselves. Okay, MOUs have the first dragon of the game, and now have pretty significant wave clear when it comes to holding on to this mid tower. You can see just the shield alone from Janna really denies Gamers 2 from doing anything. However, this is awkward back timing for Gamers 2. 25 seconds until the dragon. They do have the timer on this. A reminder that 5:14. Both teams will have the timer at all times when dragon goes down. No longer is it reliant on vision. So it's not like they don't know this is coming, and you can see Hybrid actually stopped his recall. So has got to stick around. I wonder exactly, does he actually have any wards? I think he may be out. Yeah, he is out of wards.
He's run dry.
So he's not going to be able to secure any further vision if his wards get cleared away.
MOUs, they know the dragon's up. So do Gamers 2, but they both back off. Gamers 2 were thinking of just quickly rotating to mid lane, take that one, get one as a freebie, but MOUs with a good reaction, good chains onto Hybrid. He'll be forced to flash away. Jesse was actually caught up in that CC as well. Big crit in from Sedgian, completed his Triforce now, showing how much damage that does when he hits that spike. And now MOUs, that might be enough of an advantage to go for this dragon pretty much uncontested. Kickers is hanging around the area, but I think this is, this is the dragon over to MOUs.
Yeah, it is. Unless Kickers can try and do something. No, doesn't even want to opt to jump in. Knows it's a one-way trip at that point. You know, Gamers 2, the decision looked like, okay, we don't have to push for dragon right now, so let's just look for mid lane, patiently play this out. MOUs can't get this dragon as long as we don't get caught. And then they get caught.
Yeah.
Is the problem. I mean, Hybrid got just bound under the turret with the chains of corruption, and then it spreads to Jesse, and at that point, that's pretty much game over for that minute. The setup. Gamers 2 have to back away. Really weird decision making from Gamers 2, just in general, over these two games. The early game decision-making was better from Gamers 2 this game. That, however, puts a bit of a crease in the well-ironed beginning of the game here for Gamers 2. That's a curious one.
And that was probably one of the better times as well to go for a play like that, where the mid lane from Sayo hasn't hit a giant spike. He's just got Brutalizer and hasn't even got the Mirror Mana just yet. Hasn't got a whole lot of damage and spell penetration. There was only one Trinity Force at the time completed in from MOUs being on the core key. Now Beansu has a Triforce, now Sejun has a Triforce, mid lane's going to start hitting power spikes. It's only going to get harder for Gamers 2 from here on out, so the decision making needs to be both flawless and well executed, and that's not been demonstrated so far from Gamers 2. This is such a change from what we saw in Week 5, where they really hit the ground running against the team that we thought was the strongest in the league at the time.
It's a lot of patient play going out. Kikis is waiting for somebody to cross through the jungle topside. Corki is crossing. Kikis has just seen him recall on a ward, so the call has been made to look for the turret. However, Kikis could have doubled back to look for a pick. Doesn't opt to do so, because Corki finished his recall. The other patient play on that was Beansu was sat down in bottom brush for about 20 seconds, waiting to see how many members of Gamers 2 showed, looked for Smitty on the map, couldn't see him, he appears in the lane and clears it out, because this game is going to be dictated, or at least the pace of the game, is going to be dictated by Beansu. Beansu, as soon as he can deal with everybody on Gamers 2, is not going to leave a side lane until a team fight absolutely has started, and then he can teleport in. So, honestly, if Beansu's patiently waiting out in these side lanes, looking for key members of Gamers 2 to not be present in the lane, towers are going to start falling.
And then Dan will say, don't worry, buddy, I know you can split push, but I'm going to do that.
So can I, on Elise. No, please, not split push Elise.
Build that Black Cleaver here and... I actually like that pickup last game, but this time on Lee's, not so much.
No. Also, he's got no way of crossing the map. So Rek'Sai has an ultimate. Elise, she can't repel and appear in another lane.
Movement speed faster in spider form.
Oh, great.
There you go, shaved off 0.1 of a second. If you were speedrunning League of Legends, that would be fantastic. Save those frames, but yeah, not. So far, you can see not a whole lot of gold on both teams. Edging 1,000 maybe with some Smitty J, but it's not really enough to complete any of the items for either team right here, so money in the bank. They have it.
Yeah, at this point, 2,000 gold lead for Gamers 2. It's a little bit offset by the 2 dragon lead for MOUs. However, Victor's just shown in the top lane. He's got no way of crossing down to the rest of the map. Hecarim's about to show on a pink ward. And there's only 2 people sat in mid lane here. MOUs with the next minion wave. If Victor doesn't get there in time, he's actually on his way already. I don't think MOUs can do too much from this now. Now that that minion wave was not available, there was maybe a small window had Gamers 2 made a mistake there, but they actually played that one pretty well.
And welcome to Mouse's poke, where Varus has a Q on a couple seconds cooldown, and Sejuan, and Sejuan has a lot of poke himself. 88%.
3%.
I am the 3%.
3% have changed their
That's
mind.
surprising, considering how hard that first game went over to Mouse.
3% of swing voters at this point.
The change from yesterday were completely...
Everyone was like, no, I'm off this hype train.
Abandoned ship. Sticking with the guns. Gamers 2, yeah, they are ahead in gold, as you mentioned, offset by those 2 dragons. And speaking of dragon, up and around 1 minute 30 here, so that will be a contention point. We've spoken about the item spikes from Mouse and those very annoying piercing arrows from Sayo, but Perks as well has finished the step cap. He's leveled up his Hex Core. Got those Skirmisher Sabers as well, completed by Gamers 2, so they are building themselves up on their side as well. Jesse, of course, has his Infinity Edge. Has already taken a lot of poking from Sayo's piercing arrows. And that's the problem. If Gamers 2... I was going to say, if Gamers 2 start off the dragon, they're going to get poked down. If they don't start off the dragon, the Mouse are going to take it, so...
Yeah. The other problem here is that, again, Beansu drags Victor down to the bottom lane. Beansu, as soon as people dropped off the map, sat back in lane, went almost all the way to his inner turret, and then goes, oh, it's Victor. I can sit here. That's not a problem. I can just avoid most of his damage for the most part, and then look to push into the turret. So he shoves the wave in. Again, nobody from Gamers 2 is accepting these waves all the time, because Smitty J at this point is looking to push top lane. MOUs aren't reacting to this in time.
That's probably the first time.
Binsu's going to get there. And the minion wave is going to die, so it's close. Next time Smitty J does that, that is going to fall.
It's actually the first time we've seen MOUs not be there to respond to a tower push, or at least be able to exchange something on the opposite side of the map, which is what they've been doing constantly through this series, this game and the last, which is both allow them to equal up any advantage that gamers 2 get and get ahead of them. Hybrid puts up the unbreakable, just gets stunned up. But it's now the vision game as the dragon is live. And MOUs are unfortunately on the opposite side of the wall, so a little harder for them to secure that vision. Smear J is sat in base with the home guard teleport ready to go. Binsu will be a little slower to the punch as he's sat in top lane.
There is a ward right in the middle of this fight, though. There comes the teleport. This is the time that MOUs want to try and go aggressive, but look at the re-engage coming from Gamers 2.
Well, Smitty J doesn't get anything onto anyone, but the kill from the dragon goes over to Jesse, so over to Gamers 2, but is now damage control. Get out from this place as fast as possible. Kikis is being run down. Jesse and Perks are being put out of the fight. He's been exhausted, he's been ignited, and he also is going to get taken down by Cedrian here. A 1-4-0. I'm sad. I wanted him to be smited as well, so that would rhyme, but he didn't.
No,
So,
he didn't, Pulse.
come on,
But
Dan.
bottom tower is going to go down in favor of MOUs. They're going to look to push through in some of the other lanes as well. Big wave stacked up to the top lane, so somebody from Gamers 2 is going to have to go and deal with that, which opens MOUs' potential to look to continue to push, or at least clear out the jungle on the bottom side. But Smitty J is already there. Victor's heading to the top lane. I don't think MOUs can get all that much more from this unless Gamers 2 show elsewhere on the map. However, they are going to look to just back away. So good setup for the fight from MOUs when it came to actually looking to contest, but the re-engage from Gamers 2 made them back away just a little too much. We'll take another look at it as Gamers 2 kiting down and back. Kikis actually gets all the way out of the fight, forced to flash early, which is why he didn't have it available for later, so didn't commit to the dragon. Once again, this kind of inconsistent back and forth objective shot calling from Gamers 2 is costing them. I mean, it only cost them a kill in this situation, but in the first game, a very similar decision at the Baron ended up in Gamers 2 getting annihilated.
And it could have also been more there as well, with that Q landing from Sayo, the ults in from Sergio onto 2 targets, both Perks and Jesse. Had they been a couple more centimeters further towards MOUs, they would have been taken out as well. So MOUs just show how strong they are currently in this game. As you mentioned, that time it did work out for Gamers 2. They did manage to get their first dragon on the board for their side. But MOUs, while it's even in terms of gold, and there's only one dragon going over to MOUs, MOUs definitely seems stronger.
Well, that's the thing, was even though the dragon went over to Gamers 2 and it was a kill and a tower to MOUs, it brought this game back to an even footing on gold. And MOUs were down about 2,000 gold before that fight. So at this point, it's key for MOUs that they've evened it up. They are ahead on the dragons still. They're ahead by 1 tower. We'll see how they can put their impact back on the game. But Gamers 2 have not had the same vision control that we highlighted earlier. MOUs now have wards out on the map, mostly around Binsu split pushing this bottom lane. You can see there's a curve of wards down under the dragon pit. There was one in the river as well, but that has just died. So Binsu is hell-bent on sitting in this bottom lane for as long as possible. But look at Smitty J in the top lane, looking for that top tower. It's already on low health. Binsu having to recall preemptively to deal with it.
He doesn't have home guards, so it's going to take him a while to get there. Kickers coming in from the sidelines will be flashing after Mountain. The flash into the ult from Hybrid as well. Gets the CC down to Sao. He'll have to flash away. Kickers only used his ultimate in that engage. Had already used his flash, so lots of summoners burnt from both sides. No more will actually go down, meaning the mid turret should stay alive. Sao is very low, but he can clear out this minion wave from very long range, as you can see there. Smitty J, he's the only danger of really picking up a turret in the top lane, but Binsu will find him and clear out this wave before he gets to do so.
Very slow-paced games here in this best of 3. Real low kill score.
2 kills.
1-1. 26 minutes into the game between these two teams.
Lots of objectives, though.
A lot of objectives, not a lot of team fights.
No.
Considering this is a MOU's game,
It's a dance.
where we've seen MOU's kind of go great Flash Galley all the time. This game, they've not been running a team fight style composition. Beansu can't take on Smitty J yet. Is a bit of a problem. Needs a little bit more time. Nearly at that Blade of the Ruin King, but Frozen Heart already completed onto Smitty J makes it that much more difficult for Beansu actually to get his damage output when it comes to the just auto attacks in general. Gonna get slowed down. Beansu's gonna have a tough time going through that.
Yes, he will. It's going to take him a little while longer. He's going to go for the Blade of the Ruin King next, which is the core item build. And then, yeah, from there he'll probably just build tank up against Smitty J. Smitty J is a little ahead of the curve in terms of just the sheer amount of armor he has, plus the challenging smite, so he pretty much wins all the time as soon as Beansu wants to trade. But that will change as this game goes on.
Time will tell when it changes.
Yeah, could be a while. 1 minute 40, that's for certain on the next dragon, however. And MOUs are pushing up. In terms of the vision, there is none at the dragon currently. Here comes the engage once again using On the Hunt, jumping onto Sayo. This will be cleansed out. Kickers, get CC'd up by the ultimate from Sayo and the knockback from the Monsoon. Kickers trying to get onto Dan, but Dan has already gotten onto Kickers, picks up that kill. Jesse leading after the fight. Comes in with the boomerang blade. Smitty J being caught out by Beansu, turns around with the rampage damage. Sedgen and Mountain and Dan are closing in from the sidelines. He'll have to onslaught the shadows over the wall to escape. It's a big ultimate down used defensively. And that ended up in a 1-for-0 over to MOUs. The third kill of this game in 28 minutes. And now MOUs will push down the middle lane. The damage from downtown in from MOUs, pick up the kill onto Perks. Made that the fourth kill of the game. Middle turret will go down very, very quickly over to MOUs. And Dragon up in 40 seconds. They can easily get the dragon, easily get the vision for this dragon.
Kikis is really struggling to get into this game. He is just not able to set up any kind of fights. Similar to game one, he just couldn't get anything from the game at all. I mean, okay, he gets the bowler to begin that fight off, but then the cleanse, the chain of corruption comes out almost instantly from Sayo. So Sayo gets caught here. The rest of the team not quite in position to follow up. Cleanse has already come through. And now just Kikis has nothing to do in this fight. He gets pushed away to the side. Dan, that's easy pickings for him. He'll take that fight every single day of the week. And then Gamers 2 just seem to run out of options. Beansu at this point says to Smitty J, if you continue going through this point, I'm going to all-in you and the rest of my team will take the rest of your health away. So you can't look to ult from the side here. No real setup there. Even though the teleport was available, no wards to teleport to, and down goes Perks in the middle lane to round it all out.
Death Ray, big one. That's all they need. 4 towers to 2, currently 2,000 gold advantage, 1 dragon advantage over 2 MOUs in this game. That is the Muramana completed in the mid lane from Sayo. He's got the Last Whisper, the double Trinity Forces in from MOUs, plus the Blade of the Ruin King. Lots of completed items currently in from MOUs. Gamers 2, meanwhile, not too much of a change since we last saw them. Beansu in the top lane now trading up against Smitty J. Does he have the damage now of these 2 items? Looks like that's going to be the case, even with the smite. But the turnaround from Smitty J using the E and the ultimate as well will run down the Fizz. He'll be able to get the top turret, but maybe his team will suffer in the meantime. Kickers again jumping into that back line, but CC'd up and CC'd down, so he can't get any kill to happen. That's the top turret coming out from Smitty. Someone is going to have to recall to deal with him in the near future.
Yeah, Beansu is not able to deal with Smitty J head on at this point, and if it keeps going this way, I don't know how long it's going to take him actually to be able to deal with it at all. They got Smitty J through the early game, and now Beansu is struggling to have any impact in a lane that Smitty J is sitting in. How do you then utilize this Fizz if every time Smitty J just sits opposite you? I don't know. The Dragon going over to MOUs puts them on to the count of 3. dragons right now. They're playing 4-5 dragons. That is how they're going to look to close this game out. But that means we've got another 12 minutes on the clock realistically before MOUs really can start getting their objectives under wraps.
Yeah. And from a team that was very much a team fight team, has now moved to a team with a team fight and Beansu in the top lane with the 1v1. But if he can't 1v1, it's very much a problem going up against the Hecarim. Yes, he's got those 2 items, but now he needs to start getting defensive items against Smitty, who will be armor. But he's still itemizing pretty much just for this 1v1. So yeah, I guess, yeah, the question is, how long is it going to take him to itemize to get to a point where he can 1v1 consistently Smitty J? I mean, Smitty J in that trade did juke out the vision and then get the turnaround with his E, but the end result of that trade was going to be pretty similar, no matter how that really turned out.
Yeah, very true. I mean, there's 2-level advantage on Smitty J right now as well. That is something you have to keep in mind, 17 to 15 in favor of Gamers 2's top lane. However, jungle 2-level advantage in favor of Dan. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts all around. Victor has got his level 3 ult at level 16 as well. So Gamers 2 do have a few things still going their way. The thing they have to avoid now is that Beansu doesn't teleport into the back of the fight and just catch Jess's or Perks out. Just get onto them and blow up a carry, because even though this is the Bruiser setup of Fizz, which tends to build a little bit more tanky than you know, we've seen Fizz build in the past, it's not the Cinderhulk Fizz. He will absolutely chunk through a carry if he gets there.
Yeah, Beansu is definitely going for a more assassin build here with that Blazer Rune King. Kickers, though, trying to assassinate Dan in this mid lane. He'll be repelling up, and now the teleports are coming in from the top lane as Smitty J gets a big ultimate onto the back line. They're only CC'd up temporarily, though, before they take him out. Kickers now backing off. Perks places down the gravity field. The chair comes out from Hybrid. Sedgen looking to chase them down, gets the Unbreakable up, blocks out some of this CC, some of this damage, but the 1 kill going over to Mouse maybe is enough leverage for them to push down the middle lane.
Well, with this poke setup that they've got, it's going to be real tough for Gamers 2 to sit opposite the Mouse lineup, as Braum isn't going to be enough against Avaros. Braum works pretty well against Jace, because Jace is limited on his poke by the shock blast through the acceleration gate duration. Problem with Varus is Varus only has about a 2.5 to 3 second wind up and cooldown between his Qs, so it's not like you can block out all that many of them when they're sat in front of you. That is going to be another turret going down in favor of Mouse, and honestly, if this keeps going this way, if Gamers 2 aren't able to deal with the poke coming from Mouse, this could be a fairly swift end to the game. Jesse is name changes. He's caught, but he's flashed. So
He's less
okay.
caught, but now Smitty J is more caught as Miles are catching up to him. Gets the chains of corruption as well as he's retreating. Venomous Bite will be enough to finish him off, and Smitty J just exchanges places with Jesse for no real reason.
Yeah, no real
Take
reason
me
under
instead.
that one. Dear. Dear. This is quickly falling away from Gamers 2 at this point. And remember, Gamers 2 are our number 1 seeded team. Mouse are our number 4 seeded team. This would be a big upset with regards to the seeds coming into it. Looking at how both teams have played, I don't think you'd say it was an upset at all in this series, but certainly at the end of week 5, if you'd have told people Mouse would be this convincing, I don't think they'd have believed you.
Would have told you were crazy. Kickers jumps into Dan, and they do get the Spider Queen down. Sedgen and the rest of his team are lagging behind there. This might be enough to make some sort of play happen. Smitty J does not have his teleport, and he's going bot lane to clear out the farm, which means his team really can't go for Baron. Beansu's trying to chase after Jesse. Should be able to pick up this kill. Sedgen walks straight past the bush where there is a stray Rengar sitting in there, but Sayo's there to back up Sedgen, and they take out the cat before he can get anything done. Beansu now chasing after Hybrid at poor defenses Braum, but now there is a Smitty J behind him, which is far from defenseless. Sayo will be able to poke him as he aggresses towards them. A 2-for-1 trade over to Mouse, just purely from chasing them down with the recalls.
Cedrian's heading bot lane right now to push through that tower and make sure that they get something from this. Dragon coming up in 35 seconds as well means that MOUs can secure the vision and look to set up for a pick onto Gamers 2 to take the 4th dragon for themselves. I mean, Gamers 2 play that really greedy recalling around the Baron because the Rift Scuttle vision was already on the side of MOUs. So you can assume that there is some essence of vision control around the Baron as it is. So if you haven't swept out all the bushes for all the wards, you're being greedy recalling. Just sat in that the pixel brush in front of Baron.
I gotta say, some pretty good clarity out from MOUs, and specifically Cedrian there. Just after all the dust had settled, they picked up some kills. It was like, well, I'm the AD carry, I'm on the opposite side of the map, but I know the team, or the enemy team, is way far away. I can just take bottom turret.
But on
we rarely see that.
The other side of that is Gamers 2 have had really cloudy decision-making.
Right.
They've not been clear on any of their decisions in both of these games. Very rarely have we seen Gamers 2 make a play that is really worked out effectively.
Oh, great Monsoon in from Mountain has basically stopped all of the engage from Gamers 2. And Dan is not even going to die from this, or maybe he will. The ultimate coming in from the mid lane and from Perks, but now Smitty J is getting chased down with the rest of his team. The Cocoon lands onto Kickers, and so does the Piercing Arrow. Cedric now chasing after Smitty J. He's stutter-stepping perfectly in with the ultimate as well. Gets him finally with another kill. A 3-for-0 plus the dragon going over to MOUs. A 4-for-1 in total in terms of those dragons. Now Baron is up for the taking. Jesse is trying to run through that path. Perks as well is just coming out from base. This game is MOUs to lose.
It absolutely is. Jesse's going to try and pick somebody off. If he can get Dan, it stalls out the smite, but this is a one-way trip, Jesse.
I mean, it was a good attempt, but as soon as Dan realizes he just needs to swap into Spider Form and Repel, and all of that is gone, and he reacted too fast.
That fight that we just saw coming from, it is enough, actually, to stop MOUs. Looking at how low Dan's health is, and the fact that Perks is still alive, they have to back away from this. One stray laser would pick him off. Going back to that fight that we just saw around the Dragon area, this is the problem that we were talking about in Game 1 when you don't set up a hacker in flank. Into a Janna that you know has ultimate, and obviously in these tight enclosed spaces will land a Howling Gale on you. If you don't have a flank, the front door is not going to be the option for you. It will not work out in this situation. And the shot calling to make that fight happen for Gamers 2, this is night and day between what we saw against Team Dignitas for Gamers 2, where we said their shot calling was very good. Kikis fixed their shot calling. This shot calling is not fixed by any sense of the imagination.
I mean, in what reality does a Hecarim and a Rengar jumping onto a Janna not
going
go
head on, where you can only come in through one angle?
Yeah.
It just seems like a really desperate attempt.
And it didn't have to be. It didn't have to be desperate. They didn't need to get to this point. But again, Kickers and Smitty J are going to try and jump onto the squishy back line. Again, they're going to disengage using the talisman. And again, Kickers' ultimate is down for a very long time, so is on the hunt. And every single time they use this combination, it just doesn't work out.
And the big problem is that Gamers 2 are trying to somehow come back into this game. They know they have to try and make a play. And the opportunity is not presenting itself to them very often. If they can't make a play, MOUs are inevitably going to get to 5 dragons. And we already can see how far ahead MOUs are. They've read where G2 are right now, and Sayu is managing to kite back.
Well, there's chains of corruption onto 3 players. Repel comes up and down will retreat back to his team to take out Smitty J. The Chaos Storm comes down on top of the Spider Queen, but she's away. Beansu is into the back lines. He's looking for someone to assassinate. It's going to be Kickers this time around. Gets him with a Blade of Ruin King, smites him as well. Mountain just needs to get in there for an auto attack. It's actually just the Mistral Barrage coming in from Cedrian. A 2-for-0 again in this trade from Mountain, from MOUs and Mountain. And we just haven't seen one single fight in this game go Gamers 2's way.
This game has slipped completely out of Gamers 2's control right now. And, you know, these fights, Smitty J is going in, the rest of Gamers 2 is going out. All of the time, and it means Smitty J is just getting picked off time and time again. Compare it to Beansu's Hecarim from the last game. Beansu had such a better game comparatively, and now we've got this fight around the Baron. We'll see whether MOUs can secure this one. They do.
Yep. And now they're just going to try and chase down Gamers 2. If they can pick up any more off of this, they will probably crack that inner shell of turrets. This is so difficult to deal with right now for Gamers 2. MOUs will just use the accelerated recall back to base. Let's just see that catch once again. That's set up for Baron now.
Smitty J is going in. Kikis is already going out. He doesn't want this fight. Hybrid is kind of just preventing the damage from coming, and the rest of the Gamers 2, they're umming and ahhing all the time around this fight. Nobody is committed, and Smitty J is gone, so everybody has to back away. Nothing can be done by Gamers 2 in this situation here to turn this team fight around. It's good damage onto a support, but when your carries are just getting picked off, drop down in health this fast in the game, I don't know how you can actually turn this one around. The comparison now between Beansu's Hecarim 704 in the last game was up 5,000 gold. Smitty J is 1-4-1 and down 1,000 gold on Beansu. I mean, yes, it's a different matchup, but this taking the Hecarim away has not worked for Gamers 2. And the problem is, it's only a best of 3, and this is game 2 when you're 0-1 down.
Different matchup, different circumstance, but they picked the pick to take it away from Beansu and make something happen with it. And ultimately, he hasn't done anything at all. And speaking of which, he has been caught out in the middle lane. He's fairly tanky, however. But yeah, has not yielded a whole lot of results other than just stopping Beansu from running rampant all over that solo lane split push. Sayo and the rest of his team, they're just setting up the preemptive vision for this dragon. It's 5th dragon, so they do not need to make any proactive play at all. They can just sit back and wait for this to happen.
Oh, well, they're going to try and make it happen.
Is it going to work from Gamers 2 this time around? Another engage. Hybrid this time is on the front lines. The support gets blown up. Dan is taking a lot of damage. Sejun's on the front line, but apparently it doesn't seem to make any difference. And Gamers 2 just simply do not have enough in the fuel tank to make anything work. And now MOUs are making a very smart decision. This is going to run down the middle lane, cut Gamers 2 off. They know that Gamers 2 can't take them in a head-on confrontation.
No, there's absolutely nothing they can do, and they're going to get poked out. They've been routed out of their base already. Now they're onto the inhibitor turret with this Baron buff, which doesn't actually do anything for them right now because there's no minions there to buff up. MOUs are just brute forcing this down.
They take the tower, they take the inhib, now they'll just back off. Dragon is in 8 seconds. Hybrid is down for the count. This is a 4 versus 5. The only thing that is going Gamers 2's way in this single scenario is that Dan is chunked. If they can make something of that, that might work. Smitty J coming in for this very last TP, but it has been scouted out by MOUs. They already have that walled up. They'll turn around. They'll stop that engage from happening. Now Kicker's off to the sidelines. He really needs this steal to happen. Otherwise, this is curtains for the team of Gamers 2. The dragon is going down. MOUs are trying to make it happen. It's smited down from Dan. That's Aspect going over to MOUs Sports. And Kickers gets chunked out of the fight. Jesse dies as well. Smitty J called off away from the rest of his team. That's the 3rd kill going over. Yes, they killed Sejun, but it doesn't matter in this circumstance. Dan looks for the kill onto the retreating Perks. Doesn't quite get him, but this is probably going to be game here for MOUs.
It is an absolutely convincing performance. This one was a little bit closer out from Gamers 2, but MOUs in both games have looked far more consistent than we've seen from them the entire split long, and they're pushing on to the Nexus turrets, and only 2 members of Gamers 2 are there to defend. It will not be a successful defense.
MOUs Sports have turned up in this one, Stress, and take this series 2-0 over first seed Gamers 2. They make short work of them, and MOUs Sports will be heading to the finals.